Today, let's talk about what it's like to plan a short trip to Walt Disney World. Now, although a week is typically what we'd recommend for people planning Disney World trips, not everybody has that kind of time, or maybe you have a few days available and so you just want to sneak in some time. It is a slightly different strategy to plan for a few days versus a whole week, so I wanted to get into that today. The first tip for trips that are say up to 4 days long is that we really recommend that you narrow your focus. Now, even if you had 2 weeks to go, you would have to narrow your focus because you can't really do everything. But when you only have a few days, you really have to narrow it down. So what are you focusing on? Are you taking a little one so you want to focus on just things that the little one is into? Or are you going with adults only so you want to make sure to do things that are, specific to your group? Either it's a girls trip or you are parents that are leaving your kids at home and you want to focus on things you can't do when they're with you. Really focus on that because you're not going to have a lot of time, and make that the basis of your planning. Next, if you are flying, make sure that you really schedule your flights to maximize the days that you have. Maybe you fly in super early on your arrival day and fly out super late on your departure day. This can actually be sometimes more cost effective because those are cheaper flights, but obviously that'll give you more time in the parks. Flying in and making plans that day is not always something you would recommend if people have longer trips, because it can be hard to get everything done. If something runs late, it sort of is stressful to see, okay, am I going to make it to my dining reservation or the party or whatever that I've booked? But when you only have a few days, it can be super helpful to try to pack in as many things as possible. So fly in early and then hit the ground running in the parks. The next thing is to try to be strategic about where you stay. So much of Disney World time can be spent in transit because it's so big. But if you choose resorts that are convenient, then sometimes you can cut down that part of your time spent at Disney World. One of the things that you might consider is with being within walking distance. This is going to be deluxe resorts that are within walking distance, such as the Contemporary Resort, Beach Club, Boardwalk, etc. And so that might be one option if that's in your budget. Another option that can be quite convenient is to be on the Skyliner. And in this category, you can stay value, moderate, or deluxe if you would like. And so that can be really convenient as well. You also might consider the monorail, which is also going to be a deluxe resort, but really consider that to sort of cut down on your commute time. Another planning thing to consider is adding park hoppers onto your park tickets. And that is because if you want to really spend as much time in the parks as possible, you can go into a park really early and then hop to a park that is open late. Just keep in mind that currently hopping is not available until 2 o'clock, but it is a really great way to maximize it, particularly if you're trying to fit in nighttime entertainment, because you might want to start the day at Animal Kingdom and hop to a park that has fireworks that night, or you might want to end up at a park that has a festival going on like Epcot or a party or something like that. So I would definitely suggest park hopper tickets if you can swing it. They are not cheap, but it can help you fit in as many hours as possible during your short trip. Related to tickets and parks planning is that we really strongly want you to consider going to a party or an after hours event. Now, this is obviously an added expense because it is a separate ticket, but the amount that you can do in this time is more than you can do during normal park hours. Sometimes people evaluate these parties based on how much time, where I'm spending X amount of dollars for a few hours. That's a lot per hour. But we would much rather look at it like you're spending that much money to do so many attractions, because you can get through so much faster. These events are especially helpful when the weather is warm, because these allow you to stay in the parks late at night when the weather is a little bit cooler. But even, the Christmas party, which is available obviously in the wintertime, we think is often well worth it. They are not cheap. So if you are a person traveling with friends, it can be a lot easier to afford it because you maybe just have to buy your own ticket versus a whole family. But we think that this is a really good use of funds because you can do so much in such a short amount of time. Speaking of being able to do a lot of things in a short amount of time, if you are staying deluxe, you will have access to extended evening theme park hours. Now, they're only available a couple of nights a week, so you'll have to see if and when they hit during your trip, but it can be a really fantastic way to do a lot in a short amount of time. There is another option to do a lot in a short amount of time, and that is to book a VIP tour. Now, again, these are not cheap, but we had a real aha moment on the podcast several years ago when a family had a budget and they decided to shorten their trip and book a VIP tour or two, because the amount that they could save on additional hotel nights and park tickets and food, it made it easier to justify the VIP tour. So you can get a lot done in a short amount of time. It's not cheap, but if you have a group, sometimes this is a really cost-effective way to fit in a lot very, very quickly. And lastly, just a general suggestion to do things that make it easier and save some time. So with regards to food, you might want to have some food in your room so that you can grab quick snacks, particularly breakfast items. Or late night things as you head back to your room. You also might want to consider mobile ordering when you're in the parks to save time, because that line is usually much faster than the normal standby. You might want to consider mobile checkout when you are shopping. This is sort of a general tip that we think everyone should do, but if your time is of the essence, you might want to consider it more heavily. When you're in the stores, you can just open the app and do checkout that way. And you might want to also consider transportation things that are shorter, such as using rideshare and or minivans, which can get you to and from much faster than what regular Disney transportation usually can. So that kind of wraps up our tips for short trips. Do you have your own tips to share or any questions? Please feel free to share those in the comments. Thanks for watching.